Okay, let me introduce our guests. So first, I'm going to introduce you one by one how I see you on my screen, and I hope hopefully the viewers are also seeing you. So first, we've got Paweł Chrzan, founder of Wellbee, which is a platform that provides psychotherapeutic solutions to people through technology. So access to a huge base of different therapists. Great business. Actually, Paweł already exited the business, so that's also a really good success. And there is an element of personalization. If you go to Wellbee, you can see it. I hope we're gonna talk about it a bit. Then we've got Agata Szulc, CEO of Travelist, which is a marketplace with tourism, provides access to different hotels, focused mostly on Polish market, but a part of a big international group. It provides luxury touristic solutions. That's, I think, also important. And what's really cool is that in order to get access to all the offers, people have to leave their personal data. So this company can really personalize an experience. That's why I was thinking to invite Agata, because whatever you see on Travelist is adjusted to your browsing history, but also through to different things that you have been interacting with through your email and other communication channels. So I think this ideal personalization landscape, and not maybe everyone can have, but this one is it. And then we've got Piotr Wawrysiuk, founder of PsiBufet, a part of the also bigger international company providing fresh dog food to people and dogs. I mean, people, maybe not really people, dogs, but also their owners around Europe. That's a great story of growth in our Polish market, and then joining a bigger network, international network. And it's also a personalized experience. If you go to PsiBufet, you will see that what they're providing is highly personalized to your dogs and owners' preferences. So another great story. It's also a purely subscription business, which makes it quite unique, at least in the Polish market, where subscription is cool, but people are a little bit more skeptical towards the solution still, comparing to other European countries. And finally, we've got Wiśniewski, which is the founder of Sublime, analytics platform for e-commerce, co-organizer of our Commerce Growth Meetups, providing perspective on data and everything behind personalization. Welcome, guys. Hope it's going to be a good discussion and we're going to learn from each other. So first question to you guys. So right now for you, what does personalization really mean in the context of e-commerce? Is it just about email? Is it just about content on site? And there's so many different things: personalization, segmentation, customization. Like, give me your best shot on how would you explain personalization to a business owner in the e-commerce space?
Ladies first, Agata, you go.
Yeah, easy, wanting to start. So, like, to us, as you said, we're a closed service, so we are living in this bubble of huge amount of data, and it's a benefit, but also a great challenge. So for us, personalization is ability to use the data that we have about our customers to assist them across their whole customer journey and be helpful to them, and just offer things that they require for them to make this journey more pleasant and eventually to have the conversion. But we believe that if we focus on being and serving what customers need, this is a natural way to get conversion quicker, in opposite to just focusing on having more sales. So I would say it's about gathering data and being able to use them in an effective way to support our customers, to assist them during this customer journey from the first touch point to the final, so the transaction closure.
I like it.
So I can go next. I would say I would take a step back. In a way, personalization is providing from the suite of your products, providing the one that is most valuable to the given user, right? And it's also the way you do it. So finding from all of the things that you can offer, what is the perfect solution for the customer. Ideally, in our case, it's also very long-term, so it's much easier, right? Because we have a long-term data about whether it's actually successful or not, and it can evolve. And then to touch on that previous topic, so conversion, it's also communicating to the right person, well, predicting obviously based on data, and we're going to be wrong a lot of the times, but sort of moving towards the direction that we can already tell this user something that they have a good chance of being truly delighted with, as opposed to a generic solution that sort of fits everyone.
Cool. Piotr, can you add something?
Hopefully. Well, first of all, I agree with both Agata and Paweł. I think it's all about tailoring the offering, tailoring the communication, and potentially doing it at the right moment to improve the customer experience. And just to give you an example, like in our case, it's also like as with Wellbee, so with Travelist, is building like a long-term relationship with the customer. So we're trying to provide those like personalized moments along the way, not only to transact with, in our case, okay, that's subscription. So we really, let's say, measure initial conversion on how many people from who are going to enter the website will transact and become a customer. But the customer customization kicks in like from early beginning. So from creating your meal plan in our case, then so basically the food is adjusted to the dog's needs, but also like those moments that happen after. So I'll give you an example. We're trying to collect a photo of a dog into our app, which then enable us to provide something extra, and we're sending a postcard with technically your dog just thanking for the first purchase. So it's technically after conversion, but giving you this personalized moment along the way, which basically helps us to build retention over time. And moments like this, and with basically customer journey along the way in the business, gives you like those opportunities to act in the right moment. So when is your customer / in our case your dog birthday, we can surprise the customer with some sort of surprise and delight. We know even like worst cases, so if the dog is passing away, we also trying to reach out to the customer and help in the given moment. So like the data are about to, I guess, be turned into some meaningful experiences for the customers.
I like it. So you guys actually covered the whole journey. And Arek, do you have something to add from the perspective of the analytics guy? Maybe for you, personalization is just data and conversion.
No, like this is like the base of our business, because we support like improving the retention, and retention based on personalization. So in our analytics, we concentrate on segments, micro segments, and showing how the changes, how the tactics, if they are working or not. But in the recent years, I also like saw from analytics perspective, I also saw like a set of new tools like being born. Usually when you like take the data and put them in the data warehouse, it's called ETL. And there are like now there are like new tools that are called reverse ETL. So getting like the data out of the data warehouse to all the tools that can provide like personalization, like marketing tools, communication, stuff like that. And from this perspective, I see that the industry, like the analytics industry, is trying to close the loop and catch up with the business requirements.
Agata, you raised your hand.
Yeah, because like we started talking about personalization, but like as we're asked to disobey and be challenging during this discussion, so I have one perspective that I wanted to share, because when there was presented this path coming from mass content, mass communication through segmentation to personalization, and like this whole discussion is around to me, around personalization being something best out of everything. And what I wanted to challenge is that, to me, I do obey that this is a path from basic to more complex and advanced. But from business perspective, I think the success comes from the hybrid and good management among all of these. Because for our business, mass communication and segmentation is equally important depending on what our assumption and goal is. So, giving you an example, recently we opened a new product line within Travelist. So you said that we're focusing on domestic supply. We also have international, but it's a minor segment. But lately we open up a product of flights that are dynamically packaged with international offer. So as we know that our users read us as only domestic, provider, we needed to create this awareness. So mass communication is really the only way to reach this goal, because if we're just focusing on delivering things that people expect to see, we wouldn't have any access to promote this new product. So this is one thing. And for segmentation, like our product is getting overrated quite quickly. So when we have rooms available for a certain date and we're getting close to this date, if we don't sell it out, we just lose this money. So sometimes we have this push not from the customer, but from the business, from the supply and inventory that we have, to find a proper users, proper customers that could be ready to buy our products. And in this way, segmentation is the perfect tool to do so. So again, if we're just doing personalization, we're just pushing away the most needed and most attractive things that sell out anyways organically. But in order to sell something that we want to sell as a business, we need to look for the right segments. So people who maybe are not interested in this project as the first need, but they somehow could be interested if they...
Sorry, can we mute our mics for a second, all of us, because it's becoming more louder and louder.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
That fix it. I think it sort of it became reverbing,
If you have streaming in the background, I think it's disturbing also. So I needed to shut down the screaming.
Yeah, maybe this.
With everything that I said, loud enough to be understood, or
Yeah, it was perfect. And I think that is connected actually with my second question. And I like the fact that, Agata, you actually challenged this, because marketing, the core of marketing was never about personalization. The core of marketing was always about, this going to someone with a pen and trying to convince them that they actually want it, even though they have gazillions of pens at home, right? So there has to be a balance between it. And I don't think it's so obvious that it's only the personalization that is the future. And it was the base of my second question, because we're getting this data, customers want personal experience, but if they always going to be getting just personalized experience, it's our feed on social media that is kind of, closing us in a bubble. And if we stay in that bubble, then we're never going to get exposed to new things. So we have to sometimes break through the bubble to offer a product that the customer maybe haven't been searching for, but might still be interested in. And I want to get your perspective about it. Did you have, Agata, you already shared, I like the perspective of a business, that as a business, you actually have to push through the bubble sometimes to show the services that you need to sell. But then did you have maybe Paweł or Piotr, some other experience in your business where you realized that, for example, you're personalizing too much and you have to offer a little bit bigger range of services, for example? Paweł, I know you had actually, because you shared it on my podcast, so I hope you will share it again in this context.
So a few things. Another tiny step back, which we're forgetting about. It's your core product is what matters the most, and the product market fit. Sometimes you don't need personalization. AG1, for example, has one SKU, and they're doing some $1 billion worth of sale.
600
Porsche.
million, but
Hmm?
close. 600 million, but
600
close.
million. Porsche just had 911 for a very long time. When you have a iconic product, there's actually value in the fact that that's the product that you want to have, and when it has a product market fit. So yeah, we need to start there, and then the personalization is many things. Some products are inherently personal, like therapy, and the personalization matters a lot. So that report between the therapist and the patient is actually, in all of the literature, the most healing of the factors. Every regression you do, you'll find that the quality of relationship between the patient and the therapist will define to the greatest extent the successful outcome of therapy. But yeah, some things don't actually require it. So the personalization is more in terms of what you were describing, Ewa, with the pen. So it's sort of finding that whether that person actually needs a pen. And sort of like Piotr said, whether they need it right now, timing is also very relevant. We're a different person in the morning, different person in the evening, different person when we're hungry. So like timing also matters a lot. In regards of going too far with personalization, we tried to be a little on the, I'd say, bleeding edge of personalization. Sort of go past some like very small initial studies and look at some very deep features of therapist and patient, and so whether there's a match. And most of that turned out not to be relevant. So you actually have to be very scientifically rigorous, run your experiment and see whether that actually makes a difference. For us, it didn't. So the random assignment was better than some of the features we've added. And lastly, on the discovery that you have also mentioned, so going out of a bubble, I don't fear that. I feel like most of the marketing is still not targeted, etc. So the people will be exposed to that more informative rather than persuasive type of marketing.
Thank you, Paweł. And Arek, I think you wanted to mention something, right? You're muted.
Just wanted to build on top of what Paweł said about like personalization not having the effect or the, let's say, significant effect on conversions. We saw it a lot. I mean, like 70% of the times, the for example, like the marketing automation strategy and stuff like that, it doesn't work, or it doesn't like, or it's not showing the results that were like that are like statistically significant. So you can like have like your company being like having like the personalization strategy, but it can turn out that it's like not worth the effort to do it. And like, and at least from marketing automation side, the things that are working, and we see it across our clients, are like the basic, for example, like recency frequency monetary segmentation. And it's like scientifically proven and it works and it doesn't require a lot of effort, stuff like that. It's like more on the segmentation side, but I would say like not everyone is like doing a one-to-one personalization. So we have to be very, very careful. We have to collect the data, and you have to like have like somebody that has the analytical mind and to check if it works or not.
I'm just going to throw away a small comment building on that. Internally from Facebook, to use likes data to deliver better, more personalized ads failed twice, and it took many years in order to be actually able to use this data in any meaningful way. It took years, and they had all of the data, it seemed, and it actually didn't affect the value of ads at all. At 2 attempts, they even gave up, and then someone came and was like, okay, let's try it again, and it worked, and started working better and better. But even with the resources, with the compute, with the talent, didn't work out for a very long time.
Yeah, I would just add that the longer you have the customer in the business, the more personalized, the more data you have, and the more personalized experience you can provide. And when we are talking about bringing the new customers in, 100%, especially with like broader campaigns and building the awareness of the business, the more generic, most likely the less expensive it is to actually reach the wider audience. So yeah, at this point, like, creating a view that the personalized experience on sort of that type of ads is a little bit, let's call it silly maybe. By the end of the day, if you build like very custom small segments and let's say push it and try to reach those customers through Meta, like your cost to reach out this group will be super high. And even if you're gonna improve your CVRs on the landing page whatsoever, by the end of the day, the cost per acquiring this customer like skyrockets, and it might turn out to be like a waste of money and narrow scale, simply quite expensive. So yeah, shooting the flies with an arrow? No. Yeah, you got it.
It's one
Yeah.
thing. Second is like the scale, right? Like you might not be able to achieve a scale on a too personalized advertising, and if your brand is still not AG1 that everyone knows, then you have to be somehow expanding, right? And you can only do it through mass and more generic messaging. Agata?
Yes, I wanted to add to that because I like that we started talking about efficiency of that, because like it's good to state that personalization is expensive, and it's expensive in terms of finance, but also time and effort invested in that. So it's only worth when the uplift in the conversion is higher enough to the effort that we put to that. What I wanted to add to this discussion is that it also heavily relies on how good your product is in this very narrow segment. So again, coming to my industry, travel, if we have people who are interested heavily in Thailand, but I have only one offer, it's better off for me to present them the best, portfolio of just best deals from anywhere in the world than to push a poor deal from Thailand, because just for them to see it and having it not good enough won't make them, close this transaction and buy. So it's very tricky depending on how narrow we can go with this very detailed product.
I think there's also this other perspective of the data collection, right? Because in your businesses, I think in all your businesses, Paweł, Agata, Piotr, you guys are collecting quite a lot of data from the customers who are entering your customer journey. Once they actually reach your site, you're asking a lot of questions. So even going into that, like, is this problematic? Do you see that sometimes it might be lowering the conversion of people because they might be not open to share so much of information about them, and they would prefer to have some easier kind of way of exploring your product? Where's the, how to judge that?
So we definitely had that issue, but even by design initially, because you couldn't, the first month iteration of Wellbee, you couldn't choose your therapist. You had to go through therapy guide who would guide you through it. So it's extra effort. There's big value in it, but there's extra effort in it as well.
That's hyper personalization, right?
That was a hyper, and we still have that route. It's very successful. It actually leads to a 40% higher LTV, right? So the success
If
rate
they go through that, right?
for people who go through that step. So yeah, this is absolutely very, very valuable for us. But yeah, I totally agree with it. And every product I design, I try to find a quick way through as well. And we have it in our personalization path. That we also have a, hey, just show me therapists. I want to choose myself. Like, you want to give people a quick path to conversion as well. Very many people are actually interested in it. So you need to, in a way, also personalize for the fact that people want a generic solution and they want to see the listing fast, right? Then the magic obviously happens on the listing and what you order and how. But yeah, I absolutely agree with it. Every product I design always has that quick conversion path.
Because it's a bit about preferences, right? It's also a part of personalization. Do people want to be led, or do people want to choose on their own, right? Like Piotr, I wonder how you guys approach it, because your journey is also quite, I would say, hyper-personalized journey, right? Through PsiBufet.
Yeah, it is. And actually, in the contrary to what Paweł said, like until you're gonna get to the listing, like a product listing, see your price, like you actually have to provide quite a significant amount of data. I think in our case, it's a little bit easier because you're mostly sharing data of your dog, which is, I wouldn't say maybe not relevant. It is relevant by far, but like it's not as scary as, you know, sharing information about you as a person and your potential struggles, like mental struggles, which is very private and probably something much harder to share than the breed of your dog and how much does it weigh and if it eats treats or doesn't. In our case, actually, the longer conversion funnel sort of engages the customer, and that might be tricky, but like the more questions you already gave, the more time you spend and the more like you actually want to finalize it.
It's the dopamine loop. It's the effort loop, actually.
Exactly.
Of course.
So,
the more
so if
effort you put in, the more willing you are then to make an effort of paying.
Exactly. So, so we are obviously testing how the funnel should be working, but at this point in time, like we ended up with like quite a long one that is quite efficient. Nonetheless, like on every stage, we're trying to sort of adapt it and maybe, I don't know if personalize it, but I give you an example. We know the lifetime value of the puppy customers are much higher than, let's say, people with regular elderly dog. That's why we're trying to incentivize those clients additionally. And if we know at the very early stage of our, let's say, customer journey, we call it the wizards, that we are acting and working with a puppy parents, then we're incentivizing with additional discounts. Maybe in the first place, this is going to be more costly for us to acquire this customer, but it should pay off in the long term. So this type of adjustments all along the way, just before the first transactions, could also give a vibe of like personalizing or like customizing the offer to the customer. And maybe one more thing, because like we recently spoke about the effort getting into potential personalization. I think there's a lot that could be done with automation. So, you know, this is the way, not always you have to put an effort and skills to like custom build the segments for every sort of campaign you're running. In some cases, like building the customer journey, if you're able to sort of like do it from scratch and automate, so later when you gather the data, like it simply goes through and doesn't require that much effort from the team, because time is a precious resource. So important.
So would you say it's about the right tool or just about right implementation at the start, or both?
Probably both. It all depends, like, you know, where the personalization is kicking in. But if it's about, let's say, your CRM flow, like email journey, or whatever tools you're using, if you're able to set it up well from scratch, then you can personalize it well, and it doesn't require like further work of the team in order to amend it, you know, with another cohort joining the business or so.
Yeah, that was I think, Paweł, do you want to, Arek and Paweł, I think both of you guys, you wanted to add something on top, right?
Arek?
Yeah, sure. I just, because Paweł said that they had the problem with too much, with a quiz, let's call it a quiz at the beginning, because I work with D2Cs mainly, so they have quizzes to personalize the offer. And what you said is like, I can confirm that in data, because I checked it like 2 minutes ago. I'm well prepared with the data. And it turns out that only like 5% of the users are like taking the quiz for our clients. But so it's only 5%. So 95% prefers to like go to the listing. Maybe they know what they want, stuff like that. But it turns out also like this 5% that is starting the quiz is like responsible for 10% of the revenue. So they're like leaving like more money and they're like buying more. So it's a significant amount, but still like 90% of the revenue comes from the users that are not like interested in a quiz, let's say, or not at this stage. So I think it's the thing that Agata said, that you cannot like only rely on personalization, because you have like mass market people that don't want to share the data or just are in a hurry or know what they want. So you have to like have both.
I'm actually a little surprised that it's even that much. It's not that much for us. We don't have a number at hand, but more than half of the percent of the users is going through the personalization flow for us. But well, not therapy guide. That's actually probably less than 10% or around 10%. So that's like, let's say, hyper personalization in our case. But yeah, I wanted to challenge actually a little bit what Piotr said. I agree. Oh, yeah. Sorry. While I agree that you need to set up like your basic analytics, right? And there are some tools that just kind of give you basic personalization for free, you know, like the Shopify add-ons, they frequently bought together, wherever. In a startup, I just don't think that's something you should be thinking about. You really should be thinking about it early on. You should be thinking about product, just product. Talk to those customers, focus on the product, just like get the market fit, make it better and better. You're probably spending so little on marketing. It really does not matter. Just don't waste energy, time, attention on that issue very early on. I mean, have the analytics to drive then long-term conclusions once you have time for that. But yeah, product.
Sorry, Agata, I will jump in just to answer the challenge from my dear colleague from Wellbee. No, I fully agree. You know, I'm sort of talking from the current perspective I'm sitting in, and also like the PsiBufet was and it still is a business in which we sort of like already had a product that we knew that gonna land well on the market in terms of physical product. And to be fair, the digital product was sort of mirroring what our competition was doing on other markets. So like, let's say we got into this more or less like product market fit fairly early, and due to like everything around me, like it was more on the marketing. So, and also from this point of view, I'm also like talking about, let's say, a scale up, because currently Butternut is like a wider business. So depending obviously, to whom this knowledge is needed and at what stage of the business is. But like, I fully agree, at the early stage, like, care for your product, not as much on the marketing. In my case, like, marketing was important because, let's say, we checked in the product market fit. So it was about client acquisition and retaining the customers also in the second stage, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah, I would just add that the early on marketing is important because you need clients to talk to. Essentially, you need real product feedback. You don't think about it as business. You think about it as learning more because it's so insignificant that it doesn't matter, whether you sell 50 or 100. Just like talk to those people and test hypotheses on product mainly at that stage.
Agata?
So maybe switch. I don't know, like, Arek, did you had your head also raised or not? Because I wanted to switch subject a little bit and just share my experience. Okay. So the question was about implementation and a product. And I thought that I have this experience that maybe could be useful for somebody to be shared here. as initially when we started playing with personalization in our email communication, we actually used the external source, external product to do predictive analysis of the users and product suggestions. And as much as it was okay and fine for the predictive analysis, but like on the product line, it's, let's say, failed because it wasn't adjusted for our very specific type of product, which includes availability rooms and it's highly dependent on time. So just to give an example, if we have a 13th of February, we have a peak of all sales for all the hotels, for all the check-ins for the next day because of the Valentine's. So when you look at the best product, all like hotels that have the availability free rooms for this specific date are like the top-notch ones. But the day after, when we want to present the best deal, these are already outdated, so they don't work. So the models were not fitted for our type of supply, for our type of inventory, to actually catch these minor things. Another example is, I don't know, political issues. So some countries are getting close or have some struggles, turmoils, and again, models do not have the signal implemented in a feed, so they can mistakenly provide not fitted supply. So we said, like, we have a proof of concept that it's working, but we couldn't find a proper tool on the market that would be just adjusted to our specific needs. So we as a group invested 8 months to develop our own product, and it was the best decisions that we could have made. So the first version of it that was based on similar others, it gave us 3 to 4 times higher engagement. And the second model that was based on curated propositions, so organizing data from the past historical searches of the users, it gave us 3-4 times higher conversion on the final steps or the transaction.
Paweł?
I actually have more of a question and something Arek started talking about. So we're on a verge, we're already in a new era where you have generative AI possibly being able to capture that signal, right? And how do you feel, guys, this will be changing it? And Agata, are you thinking about implementing, let's say, some form of agentic generative AI in order to better aid those models and to be able to find those very niche but strong signals for personalization, for prioritization, etc.?
So in order to address that, we have a hybrid of automated and manual signals. So we're also sending manual signals to give adjustments. These are availability, this is something that you can do more automatically. Political issues, this is something that you need to push in manually. But as we have this knowledge and we're more able to pick up these small adjustments and make sure that they are implemented in a model, we're able to react quickly. And this is something that external providers were not ready to offer to us.
I think it's what's coming out from it is a big difference between the market segments and the business models, right? Because in case of Agata, you guys are dealing with a very actually difficult product that is constantly dynamically changing. It's both the availability and the offers. And based on the particular period, also the demand is highly changing because there's seasonality. When Piotr, I think your product, I think I always thought PsiBufet is the perfect product, right? Because you can do everything, you can do subscription, you can collect the data. As you said, right now, people are happy to actually share their pets' data, more happy than sharing their personal data, which is more sensitive. But it is easy case in a way of collecting the data and also providing the product, and there's not much of fluctuation when it comes to the product. I'm sure there's some availability issues that you might also be dealing with, but not like in Agata's case. And I think, Paweł, you guys are also dealing with some availability issues, right? Because there are humans on the other side, and if their time is not like stretchable to every extent. So I think there are differences still between these models. And I would say personalization issue for the direct to consumer like product-based, physical product-based company is a little bit easier than for the marketplace dealing with services, for example. But I wanted to ask you one thing, because you guys kind of are right now separating product from marketing, and you kind of say that personalization is a part of marketing. But I had this thought that actually it could be a part of a product, right? Like it's a part of the unique selling point for actually all of you guys. Would you agree or disagree?
So for us, yes, personalization is absolutely more on the product side. On marketing, it's more of like, who do you talk to about in a certain way? But yeah, I would say that the theme of our products, mine, Piotr, and Agata's, is that we probably do more of personalization in the life cycle marketing than in the initial, let's say, conversion marketing. Certainly very true for us.
Yeah, I will. Well, 100%. It's the product is highly personalized. Nonetheless, like I will share a short story of like my initial approach in the very early days of PsiBufet being live. So at the very early beginning, I was trying to make it as personal as possible. So technically speaking, if you are interested in our product, you got the dog, you want to provide the best possible food on the market, you enter the site, provide all of the details about its weight, current physical conditions, breeds, all of the good stuff like shape and so. And that allows us, technically speaking, to catch how many calories the dog should be eating on a daily basis. And secondly, let's say remove any sort of allergies, so recipes that are not suitable for a certain dog because of it has health conditions, allergies, and so. So my initial approach was that like almost every meal was personalized, and I tried to cook for each individual dog, perfect amounts. So 382 grams for Rafik and 222 grams for Azor, right? And that doesn't build a scalable model. So at the end of the day, it constrained the business to grow. So eventually, like currently, the way the business works, like the diet is personalized, but it's being closed within certain amount of recipes that we offer. So currently 8 in Poland. And second dimension is basically the pouch size. And we're trying also to limit it, but again, make it suitable for the dog. So we got, pouches for small dogs, like medium size. So from basically 125 grams a day to 1.2 kilo a day for bigger dogs. And again, like at the end of the day, that gives us the opportunity to personalize the product, but also build a scalable model, to attract more dogs on the market.
Very important perspective, right? Like it already was said by Agata too, like you have to merge client with business perspective, because otherwise it might be just too expensive to break through this first growth ceiling, right? That you need to break through in order to build successful business. Now, we're already talking for a while, so I'm going to be starting with some questions that are going to be taking us to the conclusion. And I think first one is about some easy wins. So if you could recommend to other business owners how to approach personalization at these early stages of a business, like what can they do? What should they take care about in order to really use it, but not limit, of course, their business potential?
I have a very quick lesson. I've learned that from guys at Booksy. Pick up the phone and call your customer. Literally, early on, just talk to them. over the phone, and then learn what they're after.
Yeah, I like it. In AI era, it's becoming less common, but even more interesting for customers, actually, when someone calls with a question, not with an offer.
What I
And
would add to that, because like this is good idea and we do it quite often, but it is time consuming and you can just do it on a very like limited scale. But you can also extend it to ask your consumer on the website. So you don't need to gather the data, but like as you have the forms here, you can ask them, do you want to be led by me, or do you want to have access to the wide range? So give them this access and make it transparent and visible, and let them make the decision, so you can gather this data and leave the choice to the customers on the website and within the touch points that you serve.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, with both again. I think it very much depends on what stage the business is and how much data, how much customers, what is the life stage of certain business. I would say the main advice, I mean, from me would be not to over engineer the thing, especially at the early beginning. So actually picking up the phone and calling your customers might be the best way to personalize the business if it's like very early on. The further, like the bigger traction, the more data you have, like you're not going to be able to call all of your customers, but then like you can work through the tools and that will help you to personalize the experience. And yeah, I would say, well, also depending on the type of the business, because if like you're brick and mortar, you probably have less of personalized abilities than like full digital business. Nonetheless, like probably everywhere, like you can find your key moments to bring and lift up the customer experience. So I know it's like not, let's say, taking the case of Travelist, like you can probably personalize it more on the site, like with your CRM communication. But then we have customer coming into the hotel, and yeah, this most likely belongs mostly to a hotel ownership, but like, yeah, some adjustment and personalized experience for those customers is probably also a thing.
It's true, especially when we take into consideration that travel is as a product with a like high emotional attachment. So when we speak with our customers on the phone and use some simple agents to provide us data about these customers, and we say like, hi Piotr, how did you enjoy your holiday, have your kids had fun, because like we know that you were traveling or with your dog, like was your dog looked after in a place. So this is something that builds loyalty and lifetime value for sure.
And maybe Arek, I don't know if you want to add something to it. I would love for you to do, but I also want you to kind of start answering one of the other final questions, which is about the actual measures. What are the measures? What are the KPIs that businesses should pay attention to, especially when they want to see if whatever efforts they do towards personalization is bringing fruit, or maybe it's actually limiting their potential?
Yeah, so it's always lifetime value, but to calculate this lifetime value properly, you need to have a set of data. So you need some time to collect them and to see if the customer is returning or not. And sometimes you don't have that time. So like good proxies are first one, conversions, so the conversion rate, and the second one, the retention rate for a specific segment that was like that you're like tracking that received the personalization. And you cannot forget about like having the treatment at the control group. So you always have to have like at least like 10 to 15% of the people that you want personalized communication for, leave it have like you don't expose this group, that control group for personalization. because you have to have some benchmark to compare your results to. And I think when you don't have like a analytical, let's say, mindset, you can easily forget about it and just like look at the numbers and say they're like bigger than the numbers last month, and that's because of the personalization. But it can be seasonality, for example. So the conclusions can be wrong. But again, if you are a small business, you don't have like enough customers, enough like cases to draw your conclusions from. So you rely on, let's say, bigger conversion rate or bigger retention rate. And when you are like bigger company and the segments or micro segments are quite big, let's say, you can do it properly. So have a treatment group, and a control group.
Any other KPIs, guys, that you would say are important to track?
So I'll jump in. I agree with Arek, and yeah, I would say those are like really key. Maybe one more area where it's possible also with some scale to deliver a personalized experience. Like in our case, already quite a tangible business, so quite a lot of customers we are almost constantly in contact with, because technically speaking, you get your box every 2, 3 to 4 weeks. And as we know, like if you get a volume, you're delivering, in our case, something physical, there's always something wrong that can happen. So customer reach out, and customer, we call it customer love, but yeah, customer satisfaction, customer care department is also an area which on one hand could be leveraged with sort of automation, including AI, like using chatbots instead of like, people just taking the phone or like responding to emails. This is really, really beneficial. However, like it's good to take a look on customer satisfaction level and CSAT as a metric here, because at this point, like with the data that we're having, or the data like a bigger business can possess and have, like you can really deliver a personalized experience. Nonetheless, it doesn't always transfer to the satisfaction level of customer who would rather call you, write an email, or so checking this metric is also key, I would say.
Yeah, I think this is becoming a topic at all the AI-based panels that I was attending recently, as where businesses start hearing dissatisfaction from the AI-based customer support, and that they actually want to talk to humans. And sometimes this is where the huge frustration is, in that basically they pick up the phone and they just really scream they want to talk to human. And you can lose a customer, and really this is the customer already, so this is a bigger loss than maybe the gain you made from removing all these customer support assistants. So I think a very interesting perspective. I know, guys, that we have to be going till the end, and I know, Piotr, you will be disappearing in 2 minutes because of your time restrictions. What I want to ask for the very end, like one piece of advice, maybe Piotr, you just throw it, and then the other guys will roll for the end of this panel for businesses who want to look at personalization. What is your one super short piece of advice?
I think I already gave it. So don't try to over-engineer at the early beginning. The bigger the business gets, probably the more data you're gonna be having, the more personalized messaging you're able to provide. If you're trying to do like superbly narrow segments at the very tiny business, is probably not the way to go. So this is probably the only advice from me. You're muted, Ewa.
Thank you so much, Piotr, and thank you so much for attending this panel. And then Paweł, your super short and quick piece of advice for ambitious business owners who want to personalize.
Use common sense, I think, to develop on what Piotr said, which surprisingly is very uncommon. But absolutely use common sense and have patience. It will take time. work with people long term, whether it's your internal team or a marketing agency. It really, really often takes time to get it right. It was supposed to be short.
Perfect. Agata?
So I would say that the best and most effective personalization is when users don't feel that they are tracked and being forced to do things, but that they are assisted, and we are there to help them and not to push them to do things.
Great. Thank you. And Arek?
So don't over personalize, because usually it doesn't make sense and costs you a lot of effort. But when you have like a big scale, always do the experiment. So always have a treatment and control group, because that's the main mistake people are making.
Thank you. And I will just add on top of it for the very end that you guys brought a very cool perspective that is in contrary to the whole event a little bit, right? Because we say like, oh, personalize, 80% of customers say they want to have personalized message and they're worth more. And this is the data we're finding in the market, and they're true. But there's also a second part of the truth that in order to grow your business, you have to keep a balance between personalization and marketing. And this marketing will have to always open your business to new customers. Some of these customers are not ready to be personalized. Some of these customers don't want to be personalized even at the start of a journey. So you have to balance these two acts in order to get started, in order to keep going, and even in order to grow. And sometimes these balancing acts will have to happen at the start, sometimes when you want to break through some growth ceiling. So thank you, guys. That was very eye-opening, I think, and I hope people who listened to it got the perspective that, personalization is a great hype, but it's not the end of the story, and it's not the only way to go about to scale your businesses. Thank you so much for this panel, and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.